Good, okay. Call this meeting to order. This is Norfolk Recreation Commission meeting. I'm Todd Lindmark. Time is 7:08. This meeting is being televised and audio recorded for those who want to have some enjoyment later on. I'd like to go over our agenda is the acceptance of the previous meeting minutes, which lies us in completing those as we speak, and we should have those for our next meeting, and we'll address those then. Vouchers are currently being signed. There's one item on the agenda that I would like to add to the agenda because it occurred less than 48 hours prior to our posting requirement, and we're not able to include it in the original posted agenda. I'd like to make a comment regarding an email from fellow commission member Kevin Doolin, which was received on Friday, July 24th, 11:59 p.m. It was sent out to the Norfolk Recreation Board members and also the Recreation Director. I will make comment that the content and requests within the email were completely inappropriate and almost to the point of being considered abusive. I'll now read the email. From Kevin, please explain item number 8 in detail. And item 8 in detail is the secretary position for commission on our agenda. Please upgrade the font for me kindly. The rest of my fellow members can adapt to your new email font protocol. My son Connor is very sick at Children's Hospital, so you, Jim, and Todd just continue the donkey dust, and the you referred here is for Ann Proto. You're all pathetic. Tom and Liza so-so. Pax et bonum. And I'm not sure if Pax et bonum was spelled correctly, but usually it's spelled P-A-X. In this email it's spelled P-O-X. This is not the first occurrence of an inappropriate, abusive, or hostile behavior by Commissioner Doolin. It seems to be a continuing trend with no particular end, and I would hope and pray that this is the last. Accordingly, as chairman of this board, I am advising Commissioner Kevin Doolin, and I will advise him at the next meeting as well, that he is to address any and all concerns he may have regarding the town of Norfolk Recreation Department to my attention only, effective immediately. You no longer have any communication in any format, written, verbal, or otherwise, with the Recreation Director or Assistant Director. In the event he does have communication with the Director or Assistant Director, I have directed them to let me know that he should only contact me with any requests he may have. I will provide Commissioner Doolin with the requested information or other in a timely manner. In addition, Commissioner Doolin will not represent himself to other boards or organizations of the town of Norfolk as representative of the Recreation Department unless so agreed and or voted upon by the commission members. It is unproductive, unprofessional, and the last thing that anyone on this board should have to endure, to have to deal with name-calling, verbal or written and or other abusive tactics. It's counterproductive and stressful knowing that we as volunteers have to come spend our time and energy for the betterment of the recreational program of the town of Norfolk and to have to subject ourselves to this hostile and combative behavior of Commissioner Doolin at each and every meeting. I will only acknowledge Commissioner Doolin at the meeting so long as he has something to add to the conversation that is meaningful. This should have never come to this point, but Commissioner Doolin has not given me any other options. On a going forward basis, I trust we will be able to come to each meeting, remain civil to one another, work harmoniously and purposefully as a team, and be productive in what we do as a board for the town of Norfolk as relates to recreation in this department. In the not-so-distant past, this board has voted for a no-confidence vote with respect to Commissioner Doolin and his previous dealings involving the Recreation Department and other commissioners. When he is present at our next meeting, I will address this with him directly. I'd also like to read into the minutes a response letter from the town administrator regarding the email communication that was sent out, again, Friday on July 24th. Excuse me. Subject, your communication with Ann Proto. Dear Mr. Doolin, I've been informed that you have again communicated with Ann Proto in an inappropriate and disrespectful manner. In an email dated July 24th, you suggested Ann was taking donkey dust, a known drug. In addition, you called her pathetic. This type of behavior toward one of the town's employees is unacceptable and not compliant with the town's bullying policy. While you're not a town employee, you're an elected commission member. As a town administrator, I expect that all board and commission members comply with the standards set forth in this policy as a matter of decency and fairness. This is the second incident of this type of behavior toward Ann. I ask that you immediately cease this inappropriate behavior with all town employees. I also insist that you do not communicate with Ann directly in person, via email, via telephone, or in writing. Any written communication with Ann should be sent to the Recreation Commission Chairman, who will review it and forward it to Ann if it deemed appropriate and necessary. Under no circumstances are you to meet with Ann Proto or Kathy O'Brien without prior notice, without someone present. Should you need to meet with Ann or Kathy, other than at Recreation Board meetings, you must schedule it through the Recreation Commission Chairman, who will ask a board member or a member of town management to be present. Under no circumstances should you call the Recreation office. If you have any questions concerning my request, please contact me. Sincerely, Jack Hathaway. So, that was a mouthful. Unfortunately, it was an email that came in. We had to address it. Hopefully, that's the last time we will have to address it. When Kevin's in my presence at the meeting, obviously I will have the communication with him, and he will also be getting a letter, excuse me, sent to him certified, and hand-delivered, I believe, as well. So he should be receiving that next day or so. So on a going-forward basis, he should not have any contact with you, Ann, just so you're aware.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
No problem.
Appreciate it very much.
Moving on. Item number 3 on our agenda, CPC project updates.
I presented the proposal for the inflow pipe for the town pond to the CPC committee. They have approved the amount of money, which was $5,000, I believe. I had it here a couple of minutes ago. $5,000 for the work at Town Pond. I spoke with Dan Crafton, and he was going to talk with the conservation agent to see if she would do the filing of the what was the paperwork that?
Notice of
Yeah,
intent.
well, either a notice of intent, or I was talking to,
Yeah, no, yeah,
or an addendum to the current notice of intent, whichever they can
yeah.
do.
They were going to work that out themselves.
Great.
I told them that we didn't have the time to do it, and so
And this,
they agreed to it.
and sometimes when you file a notice of intent, I don't know about an addendum. There are fees involved, so I'm assuming CPC will cover those fees. They're
Yeah,
not.
yes.
Okay, they're not a lot, so, but, okay.
The
Mr. Chair, just a question.
Yes.
Tommy, just because I'm behind on some of the information, was this 5,000 a prior approved expenditure, or is this going to be a warrant article in the fall town meeting?
No, this is money that the town had already approved for
Okay,
work at the town pond.
super. All right, thank you.
I think there's a, just to clarify, Jim, for you, there's a certain amount, it's 58,000 now, or about, roughly,
55 something.
55,000.
So there was a
That's
sum set aside that
already
was
been
voted on?
approved.
Okay, great, thanks.
And then we're using that particular
Okay.
bucket of money to pay for this 5,000, and then, obviously, the next items, if this works, whether we put in fishing or clear things or fences, or we'll see what we can do after that.
Good, we don't have to wait.
Right.
The open space a recreation plan that's moving forward. The first three chapters, there's a draft that's been done, and that's being reviewed by Cindy Andrade. That's all I have on that one. Oh, and you had asked a couple of times about our stage 2 of our gumps. And there's been no action taken on that. Cindy said that the one price she got from the architect was quite high. So,
Okay, thanks.
there's another piece of property that has come up. It's adjacent to our City Mills Pond that abuts the Vosella property. It's two parcels. Combined, it's about 8 acres. There's a site walk planned for Thursday evening. At this time, I don't have a time for the walk, but it's going to be on Thursday. If you're interested, I'll send you the time for the walk.
Okay.
I'm going to plan to be there.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Okay, thanks.
I have walked that property when they walked it before. It's an interesting piece of property.
The Vosella?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a different property.
Well, this is a different parcel?
Yes.
Not the one that abuts the back of the pond?
No, that's Comey's Pond.
I'm sorry. You're
This
right.
one
You're right. My apologies.
butts City Mills.
Got it. Wrong end of town.
Well, close,
Thursday?
side by side. Yes.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
And
Anything else?
that's it for CPC.
Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, reserving pavilion and other non-field spaces. I take full responsibility for not working with Ann this past couple of weeks to come up with a framework
It's been busy, I have to say,
So-
wonderfully busy, in all good ways, but busy.
Summer is good, and it's busy, but over the next couple of weeks, we will put a framework together, at least to get something initially done out, and then we can obviously tweak it on a going forward basis. Once we get the framework out, we'll bring it back to the board members, maybe in advance of the next meeting that we schedule. That way, you're aware of it, and that we can either start to use it and/or vote officially on it at the next meeting.
So would we add this into the field allocation policy, because it's at the fields? It wouldn't be a separate policy, right?
I would do it as maybe a separate policy, because it's going to need a different form, I would think. You know,
Okay.
based on the fees and
Yeah.
stuff, so that, you don't have the porta potty fees and all that stuff.
So maybe in the
Something.
field allocation policy, we can say for
Reference.
pavilion reference, because a lot of people who use the fields use pavilions, but
Right.
certainly it's not exclusive to the users. Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Moving on, item number 5, field and court updates.
So, looking at Pond Street first, Field B, which was in very tired shape last spring, is in very good shape. We do have some weeds growing in, but this is very typical that the time that we do a liquid fertilization and a liquid weed control, as well as a grub control. So I actually was in contact with DPW at the end of last week, so I'm sure that will be scheduled. And the reason we hire someone to come in, they spray. The nice thing about that, it's the labor it's one application for all three things. The other nice thing about it is that liquid, once it dries, it's not transferable. So there's no granular residue and such, so that's very nice for the camps that are using the fields. And we always schedule it on a day that not just a day, but where there's a 4-day block that no one's using the fields anyway. We usually do it on a Friday, and then the weekends in the summer are actually very, very quiet compared to just the opposite in the fall. So I'm sure I'll be working with DPW to do that. The courts, I have to say, look great. We use them all the time. They're used every day. People are also there playing tennis. They're right at 1:15, or even sometimes before we open the playground. So lots, people love them. It's very noticeable. One of the things I was working with the building department was to get a price on a security light, and they're still trying to get those prices. I met with Ron Bain there, probably, I'm kind of throwing out, probably, at least a week before the end of June or so, and I know he's been working on it. I know he got one price of $14,000.
What kind of light is they proposing?
Well, we're looking at a light that has a motion sensor on it.
Yeah.
So if someone is back in the back area, a light will come on. So if the police are driving by or doing their patrols and they see a light on, there'll be an indication to go further, because it's really, especially if there's no moon, it's pitch black.
Yeah.
You can't see anyone there, even from the parking lot. It can be that dark. So we had looked into a couple of things. At first, we were looking at putting a light connected to the pavilion roof, but the pavilion roof has a pitch that is not that steep, and if someone's interested in vandalism, would be a very accessible light to vandalize. Although I think if someone's really, determined, they're going to vandalize anything. So the other option that we're looking at is to put a 12 or foot pole approximately. The fence is 10 feet high, and to put a pole light that's not easy to climb, not near the fence, so they can't can't do a back and forth, and put a security light on the top of that with a motion detector on it. So if there's and it's a little tricky because you have to trim the trees and make sure it's not doing anything.
Would solar work there?
That could be a possibility.
Because they make some pretty inexpensive solar-powered motion detector lights now.
The tricky part is that the light has to be high enough, so to get the range, they're not as, the lights are a little bit more expensive, but really, I think in the scope of this, and I'm just going by what I've seen so far, a lot of the expenses, I guess if you just have solar and you don't run electricity to it and there's a battery, I'm not sure if that would work. I think because a lot of the expense is digging the trench and running the line.
I mean, they make, because I've seen them used in industrial complexes, they make solar-powered security lights.
Well,
that are pretty powerful, that require no wiring, obviously. There's pretty good sun there, so I would think they'd be, and they have long, I mean, there is a wire between the solar panel and the light, but I would think if you put the light up on a pole, you could put the solar panel on the other side. I would think it would work.
Certainly worth
I think
inquiring.
it would be a lot cheaper.
It's certainly worth inquiring about. That would be great, and it would also be
familiar with
wonderful
why
that
we-
we're.
Are you familiar with why we're doing this?
I'm sorry?
Are you familiar
Yes.
with? Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
So, I mean, it's certainly worth inquiring about. It would be wonderful also not to have the electricity bill,
Yeah.
so that's always
That it
nice.
would, yeah.
And I will say this, I mean, the LEDs, they've come a long way, even in the past 2 years. They've made great advances, so, but I'll certainly talk to them
Well,
about that.
electrical inspectors love to wire things, so
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
but it's worth taking a look
Yeah.
to see.
I think it's certainly,
Thanks.
I'll certainly ask.
Okay.
I'd be curious myself. So the fields at Freeman Kennedy, a little bit dry, but we've been using them, they'll come back. I mean, the wonderful thing about Freeman Kennedy Fields is there's a great base underneath them, and they will come back. It's really just the front part that is dry. And I haven't walked Field J. I keep looking at you because I'm going to ask you if you've walked the back
Not the
fields.
furthest, no.
Okay, I haven't been back there in about probably 3 weeks, so I will be going this weekend. This week. I keep saying I need to go out, but I haven't done it yet. So I'll go out this week and look. But we will also, along with our spraying and our for weed control and fertilizing and grub control, we do that at Pond Street and at the Freeman Kennedy Fields. So I will add that the fields at H. Olive Day School, although we don't use them for sports organizations, we use them for some after-school activities and such, and they need some work. I think there's you have to figure out the backfield, the Kundi Forest Field is in, I think there were some issues with the well and the irrigation, and so I'm going to just probably, I've
At
gone over and
HLD?
looked at H. Olive Day,
Okay.
so in the back. So I've taken a look, and I have a couple of ideas. I'm going to touch base with John Weddleton. I talked to both Toby and the superintendent at the schools, and we just need to sort of work together and come up with a plan and figure out the best way to address those fields. Because certainly they're used all the time by the schools, but we use them.
Fields directly in the back of the school?
Yep, there's
That
a
has
field.
that playground
Yes.
attached to it? Okay.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to let you know that I help people if they have questions, or if I can be of help. I don't want to stick my nose in, but I'll see if I can help them with
I
that.
know earlier this spring, we asked DPW to address Field H with the dip and possibly do some fill.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything as of yet,
They have
right?
not. They've also had some personnel leave at the end of June and such, and so they're in a transition stage, and I know they're short. I know one person is no longer, he resigned. After several years, he resigned to go into an inside job. And then I think another person is out for a little bit, not just a week or so.
Extended period of time,
Yeah.
okay.
So I think I've been just talking to them about other things as well, but it won't get forgotten.
Did you reach out to the person for the welding?
I have not yet.
Because there's going to be another one.
But there's going to be 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So actually, what Todd has just asked me about, we were very fortunate that the prison shop helps us with the welding of our soccer goals. Our soccer goals are aluminum. Welding aluminum it's not just, it's
a specialty.
It's an arc welding, right? So, and it's very nice that they come to us and we'll weld them on the field rather than putting a very large soccer goal on a flatbed to get it to someone. So I have to say, I'm very appreciative of the work that the prison helps us out with. They're great. So I'm sure they'll help us. They've helped us in the past a few times. So, and he's reminding me that I need to do that tomorrow morning. I will do it tomorrow morning. I told him I'd do it last week. I'm feeling pretty badly about that.
It's summer. You're entitled to be bothered.
Yeah.
One question, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman? I don't know if this is the right place or not. I had my first question from someone.
okay.
I was thrilled. Finally got a
Nice.
I was watching my
Congratulations.
granddaughter play softball down on the softball field, the one that's down by the dirt road. And a parent came up and asked me about the Babe Ruth field and talked about the fact that, and I remember this because I used to coach a Babe Ruth team, and I remember the fly balls, the foul balls coming over into that field. And apparently a child from Sharon
2 years ago.
2 years
Yep.
ago was struck in the head.
Yeah.
Was struck by a foul ball. Looking at that field, unless you change the positioning of it, I don't know what you could possibly do to prevent that, because they'll still clear the backstop.
You want me to take this one? So that did actually happen, and it happened when the Legion was playing there.
Right.
So Legion is not playing there.
But they still have older kids playing
They
there.
have 14-year-olds, but not 18-year-olds.
But they can still hit a pretty good foul
So
ball.
we also try to, so they shouldn't be playing baseball when there's a softball game going on. We've been staggering the times.
So they don't coincide now at all.
And not as far as I know. I mean, there could be not as far as I know. I mean, I could verify that again, but they
The
hadn't
suggestion
been.
that was made,
Yeah.
and I'm the messenger, the suggestion that was made was possibly putting a roof or a cover over the dugouts, because apparently the incident happened in the dugout. And if you cover, which is where all the kids are, that if you covered the dugout, that if a ball did get loose, a fly ball, a foul ball,
Softball actually built those dugouts, but baseball.
they're side covered,
They're
but they're
square.
not, there's no roof.
Yeah.
So that was the suggestion that was made, so I'm passing it on.
Okay, that's certainly something to consider. I'm going to have to look at the height.
Yeah, it's just chain link fence that's there now.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because so baseball actually covers their dugouts with a heavy tarp,
Yeah.
and it's not difficult to do that, and it's a
Maybe
pretty
something
quick.
that simple would work.
I don't know how high that is, but that's a pretty quick fix, and it's it's a few $100s, but
Yeah.
it's really not.
Well, the tarp that they have
Inexpensive.
usually is on a slant.
I mean,
This would
Right,
be
so
flat.
well, we'd
That'd
have
be a
to.
problem.
yeah, that
So we
field's
just
not-
have to look at the
I
height
don't
of
think
it.
that field's used by anybody. Aren't the girls up to 12 on that field? I don't think they go.
For softball?
Yeah, do they go older
Yeah,
than that?
No,
Sixth grade, I think.
Yeah, I think it's sixth grade, which is
Yeah,
good.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're,
So we can look
They're
at.
not-
I can look.
I mean, they're all below the chain link fence, so
Yeah.
that might work.
I can certainly
Something
look
that
into
might give
that.
some parents
Well, we might
comfort
also be able to do
if they
some
were a game.
an extender. I can look into that. I can look into that. I
Okay,
just don't
thanks.
remember how tall the fence is off the top of my
I'm
head.
going to guess they're about 6 foot. Everything's
So
tall.
let-
Everything's tall to me, so I just.
And me.
Okay, softball.
All right, thanks. Thank you for listening to that.
But going back, it's a very good question because there was that incident. And I will say that Legion immediately rescheduled their 2 other games there.
Okay.
I mean, they felt terrible that it happened.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they immediately rescheduled to make sure that they were not playing there when
Yeah.
the softball was there. And as far as I know, they haven't been.
I don't know.
Well, Legion definitely hasn't
They,
been.
they haven't been playing well. I've seen a lot of softball
Right.
games. I
So,
haven't seen them,
right.
so,
So, and softball used to play, well, I'm not sure about they used to play a little bit less in the summer. The good news is for softball, they're increasing, so which is great. But I can touch base again with the summer ball. And Norfolk baseball is very aware of the situation as well. And the example that you bring up, though, is we have a, large baseball field next to a softball field. That's one of the reasons we did a master plan, and we know that the layout of those fields is far from ideal. It wasn't, they weren't built to a plan. They were built in stages, just this is what I need and this is what I need. It wasn't anything that
It's
someone...
just a victim of
Right.
circumstances. Yeah.
So that's exactly one of the reasons we looked into this, and we're actually looking at expanding Pond Street.
Tarp might be a simple fix.
Yeah.
I mean, that would withstand a hard
Or some
one.
kind of maybe dome type.
Yeah.
Something.
I
But with the tarp.
Just anything to give a little assurance that kids are a little safer is a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. We can do that.
Thanks.
That's a great idea. I'm glad someone suggested it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on field and courts?
So just talking about the Pond Street expansion, so for just a quick background, the state and the Department of Correction had met with the town, and we had talked about acquiring additional land at Pond Street. So part of this discussion was that they wanted us to take a considerable amount of land, and this goes back a while, and one of the selectmen from Norfolk, no, not yourself, but someone had said, I'd rather have 5 good acres than 200 wet acres. So with that, and the fact that Walpole was getting tens of acres, it moved forward really much more quickly than anyone expected. The result was that we were getting 5.5 acres, but that was it, when in fact we really could use 15 acres. And working with the state, they did plans for the 5 acre, different possibilities, like we could put a baseball field here, or a baseball field here, or a baseball field here. So my question back to the state was, how do we need more land, because between the time they said, okay, you have 5 acres, and we could really use, but we really knew that we could use 15 or 20, we looked for a lot of land other places, and it's very difficult to find, recreational land that's developable. And the nice thing, if we could get, even 5 more acres or 10 more acres at Pond Street, it would give us some more flexibility with adding some parking and adding a couple of baseball fields rather than limiting it to 1. Which would also allow us to do some more work at Freeman Kennedy. There is a little bit of extra land at Freeman Kennedy, but not acres and acres. So I went back.
What is the status of that now?
So I went back to the state, the real estate office.
Was this
and-
the Commissioner of Public Safety?
No, this is the DCAM office.
Okay.
David Opatka is his name. And said, what do we need to do to get additional land? And literally, it's an act of legislation. So, with that said, I got in touch with Sean Dooley, who's been wonderful about this, and the deed has been literally the deed has been written for 5.5 acres. So this is what will work. We move forward with the 5.5 acres, but also have a separate motion to work for the additional land. So instead of changing the deed that's current, we're going to be adding, it's a second step. So that's where we are. I just spoke to Sean not long ago, Thursday, I think.
Close enough.
Monday, last Thursday. So that's where we are with that.
Okay.
Okay, so just wanted to
Is
give
there
you an
anything the
update.
Board of Selectmen can do to help on that?
I don't think so at this point. I don't think so at this point.
Because we're in discussions with the Department of Correction, because they're
Well-
making changes to the prisons that we have no vote on. We don't get a say, but, yeah. we're
Well,
having
I
a lot of
actually,
conversation.
let me think about
Because
this.
they're closing a prison.
Which prison?
You didn't know.
No,
Yeah, they're closing a prison.
I didn't know.
Which prison, though? What's,
I'm going to say Palmville or Bay State. I've forgotten which one it is,
In
to be honest with
Norfolk?
you.
They're closing a prison in Norfolk?
They're mothballing it. If they close it for 3 years or more, it is permanently off the books. I don't think that'll happen, but for at least temporarily, and it's all budget cut. They are closing one of the prisons. It will still be maintained, there will be people there, they're gonna keep the lights on, they're gonna keep it operating, otherwise they have to mothball it, and they're not gonna do that, but.
Can we build a baseball field?
And they're
there?
making a change to one of the other prisons as well that we're still
They probably have
chatting
one.
about. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of conversation going on around the prisons right now.
Wouldn't
A
hurt.
lot.
Well, if
So
there are any
maybe a window of opportunity to
Wouldn't hurt.
leverage it.
Field space is always, we're always looking for that, especially dry, accessible field space. We're real level,
Not into
even
water
better.
polo?
Yeah, not in, right, in Norfolk, we're always looking for that.
Okay.
And I think that just the selectmen knowing that we're interested in the other, additional land rather than the 5 acres, I think there was a little bit of I don't want to say miscommunication, there was some input from someone from the Department of Corrections to the real estate office sort of saying, no, they really only want 5 acres when So there was
The
just a
board
little.
we were never involved in that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
probably should have been, I guess.
Yeah, so it was very, I think, and I'm only surmising here, I really don't know.
Okay.
But because Walpole was getting so much land, I really think they were driving.
It's worth a conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe we can help, maybe we can't.
That's
Uh,
great.
We won't get in the way.
Okay.
I hope.
So I just wanted to give you an update on that.
Okay,
Um,
thanks.
All done with fields?
All done with fields.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda, programming updates.
Programming updates. Programming has gone very well. The playground's been very busy. We have more people every day this year. We've had, the first 2 weeks, we were probably averaging about 130. We used to average about 80, which that means we needed a little bit more staff. So I did, in fact, move a couple of staff over, so we'll probably have to do some evaluation of how we're going to continue with the playground program. But it's a great program. The kids are happy. We do lots of things. This Thursday was going to be field day, but because it's so hot, we're going to have water slides. Thank you to Taylor Rental very much. It's a great time. There are no cell phones. There's no electronics. Kids are playing with each other, working
Having
out,
fun.
having a good time. Different crafts every day. It's not for everyone every day sometimes, but it's a nice option for, I think, people in town to have. It's also nice to be able to employ our 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We employ some older people as well, older and younger than my kids, but older than older than just high school. So that's all going well. Our other programming has been going very well. We've been full in a lot of programs, which is great because we try to offer a wide variety. So that's going well. We run programs right through the end of the summer, although we do start to taper off mid-August. But we have a science program the week of August 17th, and it's full. We have Challenger Sports. The first time we ran the soccer camp a couple of weeks ago it's more for the 5 to 10-year-old group. We had 36 for the first week. I think there are already about 30 registered for the last week of August. So we do tend to taper, we do taper off. Just August tends to be more of a vacation time. But all of our programs that we have are doing well. Our preschool programs are full with 40 every day. So that's been terrific. And now we are actually working on the fall brochure, and that will be out the end of August. I'm hoping to have a lot of it done in the next couple of weeks before I go visit my daughter in Michigan. or I might be typing in, when as my husband's driving, I might be working on my iPad. That's okay too. But looking forward to it's been a great summer, and it's just doesn't seem like I should be saying we're looking forward to a terrific fall already, but we are looking forward to a terrific fall.
Time flies.
Yeah.
The summer program, you said that the camp itself, typically you were averaging about 80. Now you're around 130.
Last year we were more like 80s and 90s. This year, the first week I'd say it was 150 average. It looks like the second week was 140. The third week we were down to about probably an average of about 82 or 83. This week, last week we had Monday was 70, and then the last 3 days we had over 100.
So the price increase actually helped us.
A lot of, what it helped, it actually, we went to $2 a day, but $35 for the season, so we had a lot of people pay up front, which is actually, I really like it when we don't have to handle money.
Yep.
I really like the checks. I really like it done ahead of time. And,
Well, with your needs being that much more, does that $35 amount need to
well,
change?
that's what we probably have to look at just for the staffing levels.
Okay.
And so just have to look at it.
Okay. All right, next item is set fall field allocation date. We have that scheduled for August the 5th at 7 PM.
What time?
7 PM,
No, August what?
August 5th. It's a Wednesday. And typically what the field allocation is, other organizations come in. I, myself, and Ann will probably be there, and you guys are more than welcome to come if you like. But basically, we just listen to what they have as far as requests that they're going to use for fields come September 1 on. Because we have spring allocation, fall, summer allocation, and then the fall allocation, which is from September 1 through November, mid-November there. So, next item is the secretary position for commission. We've had discussions last year talking about opportunity for our board to bring on a secretary so that minutes and things of that sort could be taken care of. It has been budgeted. I talked with Jack Hathaway and Scott Bragdon. The actual posting for the position has been done. So we're going to wait to see what candidates come forward. I know that a few potentially have expressed interest, but as far as a definitive one as of yet has not been finalized. But hopefully at our next meeting, Liza can sit back and enjoy our meetings and not have to worry about taking minutes.
Want me to talk about Kathy being interested?
Yes, sir.
So originally, when this was brought forward, there was discussion about myself or Kathy doing this, and I didn't feel that I wasn't. It was appropriate for me to be doing it because I was as part of the meeting as well. And my concern with Kathy doing it is that she's scheduled for 34 hours, and we need her in the rec office for at least 34 hours,
If not more.
if not more. So I didn't want her using those hours to do this. I just couldn't spare. I mean, it's just that simple. I did talk to Scott today, and he did say that additional time could be added to Kathy's hours to cover to do the work for the commission. She would have to be paid at the same rate that she makes now. She said she would be interested. She'd like to find out a little bit more about it. This really just came up for discussion with her today. But it's fine with me as long as if she wants to do it and that's what you decide.
Doesn't impact the budget.
As long as it doesn't affect the 34 hours that she's scheduled in the recreation office. Certainly fine with me. I mean, she's certainly familiar with how to post an agenda and how to post the meetings. I mean, she's already familiar with that. And then, as long as the additional hours don't result in overtime. So if she's 34 hours, she couldn't work more than 6 hours in a week, which I've never been to a rec commission meeting that went 6 hours, so that's good news. So I don't think that's even an issue.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to make sure that, because she's paid 20 hours of her time comes out of the 53D, our revolving account, I just wanted to make sure that it was in, if she goes to 40 hours, it was determined that she'd be 34 hours because technically she's part-time, so I just want to make sure going to 40 hours doesn't change anything.
Does she have benefits?
Yes. Doesn't change anything. And Scott did talk to Julie Swaco, the town accountant, and she said it didn't, but I just want to make sure that that's correct before we decide to do something, so we don't find out afterwards that it's not.
Okay. Nothing else on the agenda except for set our next meeting time? How does August 17th look?
I'm in
You're not
Michigan.
here. 24th?
I'm here.
August 24th?
Good for me.
It's always good for Liza. I don't even have to look at her.
Is that the week you get fired?
Yeah.
Is that it? 24th?
Think so.
Tommy, what's with this? I'm using paper and you're using a smartphone. What's going on here?
It's trying to
Not a
become,
smartphone, Jim.
it's trying to become new school.
Checking his text.
Yeah, it's good for me.
24th, okay. 24th at 7 PM. We'll do it in the meeting hall here again. And if you need vouchers ahead of time, just let us know.
Okay.
Other than that, this meeting is officially adjourned. It is now 7:53 PM. Thank you very much.